Alright, today we're working on my Freightliner Columbia. If any of you guys follow me on Instagram, you already know this, that I've been working on it. I had to replace the one air tank. It was actually not in horrible shape, except for, where is it? There's a little pinhole, there it is right there. There's a pinhole right there. And I don't weld tanks, I replace them. So, other than it being a ridiculously, horribly greasy, oily mess, it went easy. And then of course I had to put batteries in it because the batteries weren't great when I bought the truck, and you know, I just went ahead and put 4 batteries in it, cleaned up all the connections, which you may have seen that on Instagram. And now I am working on the rear lighting. Everything was a hodgepodge. It was horrible, corroded mess. I ripped it all out. This is the factory wiring. It comes back here. That's what we're going to use. And we're going to wire a 7-pin. That's a 4-pin, which I'll never use. So we're going to put a round 7-pin here and a flat 7-pin here, or vice versa, so we can haul either type of trailer. We got some rewiring to do. This was, I cut this, but it was a corroded connection inside these chrome things here. I just don't use this truck much anymore because since I bought that Peterbilt, I've been using it, and this one's been sitting. And this is I think an 07, 06, 07, 05. No, it's an 05. It's an 05 Freightliner Columbia. It's got a 60 series Detroit and a 10-speed. Runs really good. It drives good. Brakes are good, tires are okay. I had the wheels polished last summer and the tanks, and I wish I could find a flat top sleeper or flat top cab to swap it out with, because that's a problem. I can't get it in the shop, and that's the whole reason that I bought the Peterbilt, is because I can get it into the shop to work on it, because I've been waiting to repair this till the weather got better, because I had to lay up underneath it. And the steering gearbox, the pitman seal coming out of the side of the box where the pitman arm comes down, it started leaking, and I parked it so I could get it fixed. And I'm not sure if I'm going to try and just replace the seal or replace the box. I haven't decided yet. But today what I want to do, I'm using this morning to take care of this because I've been waiting for the grass to dry at these properties so I can go mow. But today we're going to go ahead and take care of all this lighting situation, and I'll show you what I do, how I do the connections here, so that I don't have any troubles, or at least try not to have any troubles with wiring here, because we get a lot of corrosion, a lot of green crusty stuff. So let me get set up and we'll get working. So the first thing I want to do is verify that everything you have coming back here works, and you know what color it is. Like if they use these colors, typically this is going to be your right turn, this will be your left turn, this will be marker lights, and this will be backup light. This wire doesn't work, this backup wire. Now they have this other wire run back here for the backup. I may trace that out and find out why it doesn't work. I would much rather fix it the way it should be than to have this extra wire. You find the problem. I imagine it's probably rubbed through up here somewhere. Boy, there sure is a lot of extra wire in here. I may unzip tie this and pull it back, because that's a lot of extra wire that we could use. Okay, let me get started with that. Alright, so I traced that wire back through here. Okay, so here's what they did. Obviously the red wire wasn't long enough, or the red wire they ran all the way to the back of the truck. It wasn't long enough, so they spliced on again about right about the rear axle, the rear drive. So they cut the wire off this connector and spliced onto it right here. So on this connector, that same corresponding wire is right here, it's blue. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go to the end of the truck and we're gonna run a jumper wire from the battery positive to that cable, and we'll use a 5-amp fuse or 10-amp fuse, whatever, so if it's shorted to ground, it'll blow the fuse and not melt my jumper. So we'll send power back here, and then we'll check and see if we have it here to see if it was a fitment issue on the pin, which that connector actually looks really nice. We'll see if it's a fitment issue or if we have a broken or wire rub through here. We get a lot of wiring issues because of the salt and the brine and all that stuff they use. But anyways, let's see what we can do. Alright, so I got my jumper lead going up to my battery on the positive. I bring it back here and I have it hooked to my test light, so I know I have power, and I have a jumper lead. Now what I'm going to do is take this jumper lead and get a fuse. This is from a bait and tackle shop. That's what it's for, and I'd put fuses in it. There's a 3-amp. That'll be more than adequate. And then I'll take that 3-amp. I'll put my jumper cables, my jumper leads. I keep calling them jumper cables. My jumper leads on there, like so. Take my test light, which shows this. It's bright sunny out here. You see the red here? That means we have power. The other LED right there will light up red if we have power down here. So hard to do by myself. Alright, it's very hard to see because of the sun. Let's see if I can get the shade there. There you go. You see the one. And there's the other. So we have power on the other. So now we're going to go underneath there and see if we can find it up there. Alright, so I got my test light set up and sent power down through there. And let's see, that second light should run. Yeah, that second light lights up red. Now, what that means is, yes, it has the ability to carry 12 volts, but that doesn't mean it has the ability to carry enough amperage. So what we do, this is an incandescent light, similar to what that would be on the back of the truck. And I've got it run up to a ground wire run up there, and we're just going to wire it in and see if the wire can hold the load. I'll let it sit there for a while, let it go, but I'm going to go through and wiggle the harness. I want to make sure it's not rubbing anywhere that's going to short that out. And if it isn't, then we'll just go ahead and put this back the way it was. And it's possible that whoever was doing the diagnosing back here had a bad connection on the rear, just couldn't figure it out, and came up here and did this. I mean, you just never know. But I'm going to go ahead and wiggle that harness all the way through. You see it's still burning. That's only on a 3-amp fuse, so that'll give you an idea. This is less than 3 amps draw. But that's enough for what that is, because that is the backup light. And there'll be 2 of these, so it'll be double that. But still, it's able to hold that. It's not dim. It's, it's middle of the day, so that's pretty bright. So I think the ampacity, the ability for that wire to carry current is good, unless it's shorted out somewhere down there. So that's what I'm going to do next. I'm going to go down through and wiggle it and see if my light goes out, and see if I'll strategically place this so I can see it. And I'll just go down through there and wiggle the wiring harness all the way to the back. If nothing changes, then we're going to put it back to factory and plug it back in and get rid of this extra wire, because I do not like stuff like that. I like it to be factory. Alright, so I have done a visual inspection from front to back. I can't find anything, not a rub mark, nothing. I can only assume that the guy just didn't have a good ground in his test light. Who knows? You have no idea why. But that being said, we're going to remove this, because you see right here, it goes from about a 12 gauge wire to a 14 gauge. or it's spliced. So we're going to get rid of this. We'll get this out of here and get it back to factory. So here's the splice I just showed you. There's a zip tie, and then there's another boogered up splice. This truck is just riddled with bad wiring back here. Must be like bad wiring week or something. I don't know. Let's get this cut out of here. Alright, so when they cut that section out and then they put a butt connector on the end of that thing. Well, you lose some wires, so I have to add a section of wire. So I use the same type of wire and the same gauge of wire, and if I have it, I like to use the same color. Now I'm going to have two splices here, so I've got heat shrink on here to cover both of those. Now, I'm not sure if I'll be able to use the smaller stuff or the larger stuff, so there's actually two pieces of heat shrink in there. So if I can use the smaller one, perfect. If I can't, I'll just cut it off. But if I can use the smaller one, I'll use it, and then I'll just go ahead and put the bigger one over top it so it'll be double. But let's get this soldered in real quick. Alright, so we're soldered in. Next step is I'm going to put some Deox on here. This is going to help to prevent corrosion in that connection, and I use it on every single joint that I solder. So I'll get this on next. Also, when I'm soldering a joint together, I have two wires, take them like so, put them right about the middle of each other and cross them, and then twist. And that's what I want to solder. So that you want to make sure you have no jagged joints around here that would poke through your heat shrink. So then we'll solder a joint like that. Now the yellow one is longer than the blue one, so it goes past that. I don't always double it, but I wasn't sure if I could use that smaller stuff, so I just went ahead and doubled it up. It's not going to hurt anything, a little extra protection. Listen, I know a lot of guys are going to grief about heating it up with this, but it works very well. I've never had any issues, so I'll continue. I'm careful not to burn the insulation on the wire too. I guess I'll just show you. This is just grease, because it's so greasy up underneath here. But anyways, alright, now what I'll do is I'll get this ready to go. You see all the length is correct now. So now you see the length of the wire is correct, so it doesn't make anything goofy inside that loom. So now I'm going to put it back in the loom. Alright, something I always try to keep in mind is things that don't move don't rub. So you got all this stuff that's loose right here, because when they did this repair, they never put a zip tie back around it. And there's a holder right here on the frame, and it takes a pretty good sized zip tie. So we're going to put it back the way it's supposed to be, because again, things that don't move don't rub. I'm going to cinch it down on the connector, not the wire. There. Guess I got a little bit of grease on you guys. Okay, we'll cut that off now, and then we'll move to the back. Alright, now we're tied back onto that wire. Got it run to the ground on the frame, and there we go. Good to go. Alright, so now we can move forward. Now we can start wiring this stuff up. But this is basically the same thing as you just saw. We're just gonna cut it back, twist it together, solder it, deox, heat shrink. That is how I do wiring repairs, and I have very good luck with it. I can't remember the last time. Well, as a matter of fact, I can tell you a story. I bought a 2000 back in 2004, I think it was. I bought a brand new Kaufman trailer, and it had you know, and Scotch locks and things that should never be used. From front to back, it had Scotch locks. So when I brought it home, I took that wiring harness completely apart, cut all that crap out, and did just what I showed you here. I put 285,000 miles on that trailer and never touched the wiring ever again. So it's a tried and true method, and that's what I'm going to do on the rest of this. So I'll go ahead and get this all done.